So it is my great pleasure to welcome the Premier of New South Wales, the first time, I believe, as a chamber that we have had the sitting Premier present at a chamber function. So, Premier, a warm welcome to you from the Sydney Hills Business Chamber, our members and all of the guests here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Premier was first elected to the New South Wales Parliament as member for Willoughby on the 22nd of March in 2003. She was elected leader of the Parliamentary Liberal Party on the 23rd of January this year and sworn in as the 45th Premier of New South Wales. The Premier had previously served as Treasurer and Minister for Industrial Relations in the Baird Government since 2015. Prior to that, she was appointed Minister for Transport following the election of the O'Farrell Government in March 2011 and served in that role for 4 years. And again, on behalf of business and the community in the region, thank you for driving the North West Rail Link initiative, which is having a dramatic impact on the economy in this region. Thank you. The Premier is a graduate Master of Commerce from UNSW. Prior to entering Parliament, she worked as General Manager for one of Australia's largest financial institutions. The Premier has also completed studies in government and public administration. She lives in Willoughby, we won't hold that against her, and has a lifelong association with the local area. I'm assuming that means the Hills. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Hon Gladys Berejiklian, Premier of New South Wales.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that very, very warm introduction. And how could I resist coming to help you celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Hills Business Chamber? I'm so pleased to be here, and I can tell from the buzz in the room that you reflect the buzz that's happening out there in the community. And as the New South Wales Premier, I couldn't be prouder of this region, prouder of the ingenuity and the drive and enthusiasm which is generating so much prosperity for the region. But for me personally, it's an enormous sense of satisfaction to come here and see the progress in just the last 6 years. And one of my proudest achievements is pushing and starting the North West Rail Line. And I want to make a confession, but also thank the business community of the Hills, because when I was a Transport Minister and the plans were beginning to get formulated, we were looking at the stations. I'm embarrassed to say we had not taken into account that we should have at least one station in North West Business Park. And the business community rang me up and they came to see me and they said, how could you possibly build a world-class rail line and not include at least one station in North West Business Park? And you won the day, you won the argument. And we not only have one, but two stations now in the North West Business Park. But I hope that demonstrates the type of attitude I'll certainly bring to the Premiership. I listen. I really, really do like to hear what the local community has to say, because you are the experts on the ground. But when you have a government that's worked hard to get the budget in the black, that has billions to spend on infrastructure, and have a community who is champing at the bit to get things done, that is a perfect combination. So first and foremost, I want to come here to say thank you. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Chamber that's really allowed nearly 400 businesses to join your ranks, which is just amazing. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank my parliamentary colleague Mark Taylor, who is here. He's the member for Seven Hills. Mark is one of our newer members, and I couldn't be prouder of him. Former police prosecutor, someone who understands the community and someone who is working hard to really ensure that every community in our state gets its fair share, because we all know that New South Wales is the economic and infrastructure powerhouse of the nation. We all know that this region is doing so well, but my aim and the aim of our government is to make sure every community, no matter where they live in the state, feels like they're getting their fair share and sharing the success that is the success story of New South Wales. So happy 25th birthday. Thank you for all you're doing, and keep doing it. I have a selfish intention to make sure that you continue to thrive. When I hear from local businesses in the Hills District that their biggest challenge is finding people with the right skills to employ, I know that's a challenge, but that is music to my ears, because it means that you are ready to employ needing to employ and growing your businesses. And they're the types of challenges we can work together. And certainly the Deputy Premier, John Barilaro, and I are working very closely as he has the responsibility for developing skills in New South Wales to make sure we have people of all ages ready to take up the jobs that you want to employ them in, and certainly allow the region and your businesses to grow. So it is a great day, and I can't help but feeling incredibly proud as you travel through the region. There are so many cranes in the sky, things happening underground we can't even see, scaffolding everywhere. And I know in the interim, whilst the construction is happening, sometimes it does cause disruption and annoyance, but the reward for the short-term pain is going to be absolutely unbelievable. And I definitely will be around when the first passenger gets on the North West Rail line, and the rest of the state is going to say, I want one of those in my community. And but you've earned it. That rail line had been spoken about for decades, and I couldn't be prouder of the fact that we're actually getting down there and getting it done. And it's obvious. So I say to all those cynics now, we told you it would happen, and that's exactly what we've done. I remember coming to lots of press conferences and having people say, oh, you'll never do it, we've heard this before. And I used to say quietly to myself, I'll show them, and we got it done. But I also want to pay tribute to our two former premiers in Barry O'Farrell and Mike Baird, because they shared our vision. I go off the back of their great work, and we have had a team effort. We've also had enormous and very strong leadership, and I'm incredibly proud to follow in their footsteps, but want to assure you that not only will we maintain the pace of our infrastructure funding, but we'll accelerate it. Wherever there's opportunities to get things done more quickly, whenever there's opportunities to get on to the next challenge, we will do that because we're in a strong enough position to do that. One of the biggest challenges I have is when we came to government 6 years ago, our budget position was in deficit. We inherited deficits, we inherited billions of dollars of debt, and a 30-year infrastructure backlog, and we've turned that around in just 6 years. We now have the strongest economy in the nation and the strongest budget position. We've turned our deficits into surpluses. How many governments around the world can say they have no government debt? We have no net debt on our balance sheet at all. And we have billions to spend on infrastructure, AAA credit rating, lowest unemployment in the nation. The rest of the states are on average at 6.2% unemployment. We're at 5.1% in New South Wales. Since we've been in government, we've created over 300,000 jobs, a lot of them in this region, but a lot of them in rural and regional New South Wales as well. And our challenge is not only to sustain that growth, but to build on it. And I'm incredibly proud of that legacy, but also appreciate that in the minds of the community, they want to make sure that they feel they're getting their fair share. And I also want to especially thank all of you in this room who have successfully grown your businesses or started a business and taken the initiative to employ others, because for us, supporting small to medium-sized businesses and supporting what you do in terms of employment and generating economic growth is really gratifying. So thank you. We appreciate that significantly. And in the last 2 years alone, Northwest Sydney has generated nearly 13,000 jobs. So in the Baulkham Hills and Hawkesbury region, we've seen nearly 13,000 jobs grow in the last 2 years, which is just fantastic. And it's worth mentioning, I don't want to get too political, but that 12,000 can be compared to the last 10 years of the Labor government, where 10,000 jobs were created in the region in 10 years, and we've done nearly 13,000 in just 2 years, and that's the pace we want to continue. And we're also really excited by our infrastructure program. We have obviously already made a number of commitments and are delivering against those. We're starting to think about the next generation of projects as well, because one thing about New South Wales is we don't want anybody to down tools. If you are growing your business, if you're hiring people, we want to keep that infrastructure pipeline going, and not just the mega projects, but also the small and medium-sized projects, the school upgrades, the road upgrades, the hospital upgrades. Not that they're on a smaller scale, they're certainly not equivalent scale to a North West rail line, but we want to make sure that there's activity at all levels. And obviously what we've found in New South Wales is the more we invest in public infrastructure, the more confidence the business community has to come in on the back of that. So the growth and development that's being supported by that infrastructure investment is extremely encouraging, to the point that New South Wales saw business investment and confidence grow by over 9% last year. Our second most closest rival was Victoria. Their business investment grew by 0.1%. So we grew by 9.1% in terms of business confidence and investment, and that for me is extremely gratifying. Certainly a trend we want to continue. But obviously, for us, it's about managing growth, and you have to make sure that when communities grow, you have to provide the associated infrastructure. So when you're building a North West rail line, when you're upgrading Showground Road, when you upgrading Windsor Road, investing a lot of money in local projects, you need to make sure as a community grows that the social infrastructure of schools and hospitals follows as well. And that's something we're looking at very closely. And even projects like the North Connects will of course help the North West community, reducing congestion, taking traffic off local roads and providing opportunities for people to have a better quality of life. None of us want to spend more time in traffic. We want to spend more time being productive or doing the things we enjoy or being with loved ones. And that's certainly an aspect that we appreciate with infrastructure. It's not just about economic productivity, but it's about making sure that we all have a better quality of life and that we all maximise the use of our time in the way that we want to. And certainly we're proud of what's being done in that regard, but also appreciate the challenges this brings. And that's why we have invested heavily in local schools as well, and whether it's in Bella Vista or Kellyville or other places, education is certainly getting the priority it needs in this community. We are also, again, continuing to work very closely with business in terms of creating not just jobs, but sustainable jobs that are going to last the test of time. And we appreciate we have to fulfil our role in supporting people and getting the right skills to be able to be employed in these positions. And our Jobs Action Plan, for example, is to support businesses who are paying payroll tax. So if you employ somebody, you receive a rebate of up to $6,000 if that person stays on for a year. And we've also provided grants for businesses that aren't large enough to pay payroll tax. You get a $2,000 grant for supporting employment opportunities. So we are doing our bit in trying to encourage jobs growth. And last year when I delivered my final budget as Treasurer, we also abolished 3 stamp duty or 3 taxes on business, which had been lingering on since 2008 because we were in a position to do so. So previously, apart from transferring property, businesses had to pay a lot of money just to transfer assets, up to $14,000 a transaction. So we got rid of those 3 stamp duties. That cost us $1 billion over 4 years, but well worth the investment because that $1 billion will go into your businesses, creating jobs and generating economic success and growth. And we are all about reducing the burden. We trust all of you to support us in our vision and our agenda, not for just this reason, but for New South Wales. And as I look around the nation to see what other states are doing, I often say to my colleagues, it is not good enough to measure ourselves against the other states in Australia. We've already done that. When we're providing quality services, when we're providing health or education, when we're building roads or transport, let's not look at the other states as an example. We're leaving them for dead, to be honest. We need to look at other parts of the world to see what is going on and to make sure we're ahead of the pack. And it's really, really encouraging to know that when a crane index comes out, for example, in the last 2 years, Sydney has come second in the world to Dubai in the number of cranes in the sky. And I wish they counted tunnel boring machines as well, because we'd definitely win. In a lot of these greenfield areas overseas, they're building everything above ground, but we also have probably more happening underground. If you look at all the tunnels we're building with our road projects, including West Connects, North Connects, and obviously North West Rail Line, you can just see the level of activity growing. So our vision for Greater Sydney and for the Hills is to see people, no matter what their postcode and no matter what their background, to have access to quality services and infrastructure which allows every individual to reach their full potential. All of us have different hopes and aspirations, but I think it's really important for every citizen in New South Wales to know, no matter where you live, you have the chance to be your best, you have the chance to improve the quality of life of your family and those around you. And all I say to all of you, which is obvious because you're part of a chamber, is this wonderful notion that we are all members of a community as well, making our community stronger. So being part of a networking opportunity allows you to consider opportunities to support the local community, which I know all of you do. And just by being here today says to me that as businessmen and women, you're people who not only care about your own balance sheets, but also the welfare of the local community, because our success is their success is your success. And that's certainly a sense that I get every time that I'm here. A very community-minded community, which is always willing to give back, and that's exactly the kind of attitude of respect and hard work we want to see permeate right throughout our state. So to say that I'm enthusiastic and excited about the future is an understatement. To say that I'm really looking forward to taking New South Wales to the next level is also an understatement. The one challenge I have is that people now think it's easy to build major projects and get budgets in the black. Can I tell you, it is hard work. It is really hard work to keep your expenses down, to maintain your fiscal discipline, and yet make sure you've got additional frontline services. But we're doing that. And it's hard to get major projects off the ground. It's hard to keep projects on time and on budget, but we're doing that. And for my part, I need to remind the community what it was like before we came to government. But I also feel the next stage of our development is making sure every community in New South Wales feels they're getting their fair share, but also that we're building stronger communities. We want people not only to benefit from the infrastructure that's going on, but also feel safe, secure in the knowledge that we respect the character of local communities, that we're supporting, building on that character, but also making sure that we accommodate future generations who want to live and work, not in the Sydney CBD, but in the heart of the Northwest, or in the heart of Western Sydney, or in the heart of regional New South Wales. And I'm really excited by that prospect. So thank you for allowing me to say a few words here. I'm sure you can all grill me with any question you like to ask. And again, I want to say thank you, and I hope by my attendance today and by the feedback you've given me previously, I've demonstrated that we're always willing to listen to local communities who know their communities better than anybody, because that makes our projects, that makes what we're doing even stronger and even better. So please do not be afraid to go through your chamber leadership to tell them what you think, and I'm sure the chamber leadership will come to myself or the Treasurer with your views on what we need to do to make this region and New South Wales an even better place to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier. Please hold on. Thank you, Premier, for that very positive overview. I'll perhaps make a comment rather than a question, if I may. That was a hugely positive presentation. Thank you very much indeed. You did happen to mention a three-letter word, which is called tax. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we could build the economy so well that, in fact, that we wouldn't need to have payroll tax? I'll make that as a comment rather than a question. Let's open up the questions to the audience, please. And I do know my first question is Linda Gunek. There's a roving mic. If you could, once you have the microphone, if you could just state your name and company and ask your question. We'll have 2 or 3 questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi, my name's Linda Gunek from Sydney Hills and Hawkesbury Living magazine. My question to you is, are there any more plans for large land releases in the Hills Shire? And if so, is there going to be an affordable housing component being looked at for those land releases?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, obviously, we will always continue to work with the community on what the future of this area should be and how it should grow. But as you might appreciate, one of the first things I said we would look at and we would respond to when I became Premier is the issue of housing affordability. And the challenge is how do we support people who are getting into the market for the first time? And that's really the focus of what we're doing. Because I appreciate, I want to make sure that every person who works hard in New South Wales has the aspiration and the ability to own their own home. It was certainly something that inspired me when I first started getting into the workforce full time, and I worked hard and I gave up a few things, but I managed to get together a deposit and buy my first place. It wasn't my dream home, but it got me into the market, and I want every person in New South Wales to have that opportunity. And so we're putting together a range of measures which we feel will build upon what we're doing already. And just to give you a snapshot of how we're going, when we came to government, there'd been a lot of pent-up demand. A lot hadn't happened for too long. And last year we approved more than 73,000 new dwellings in New South Wales, which is an all-time record. And we're converting that to construction, obviously, but we need to reduce the time from approval to construction. We want to take less time to make that happen, and we do want to increase our construction rates. We're doing okay. We're keeping up with demand now, but we're not dealing with the backlog we inherited, and so that's the challenge we have. It's really dealing with that pent-up demand. So we inherited a system where too little had happened for more than 10 years. We're doing well now and keeping up with existing demand, but we still have that catch-up. And what we're doing in working on our housing affordability package is to make sure that that addresses the catch-up as well as existing demand. Yeah, but thank you for the question.
Okay, another question from the audience over here, Richard.
Hi, my name's Joe Roos. I'm from Gracelands Early Education Centre. I'm sort of conflicted in asking this question, but for the greater good of the community, it's probably important. A few years ago, the federal government introduced the NQF, which is the National Quality Framework, of which New South Wales was the first state to actually adopt it. I've noticed with all of the information that's been presented, there's been land set aside for new schools, etc. But now obviously childcare has been recognised with compulsory attendance from the age of 4. Are we actually setting aside land for childcare, etc.? Because it seems to be a largely privately owned or large not-for-profits, and the government side of things hasn't really taken a forward and proactive step to it. I'm just wondering how that's going to be going.
Certainly. I know that childcare needs are in high demand across the state. But specifically, we did announce a policy a few years ago which is having quite a lot of success in terms of early and after school care for children on school sites. I know that doesn't deal with the age group that you're talking about, but we are encouraging existing schools to utilise some of the land on their, or some of the opportunities they have on their existing sites to support before and after school care. And in my community, one school's even attached themselves to a childcare facility on their site. But obviously, we are always looking at opportunities. It does concern me that there's a lot of overlap between 3 levels of government in early childhood, and that's part of the challenge, yeah. So that's one of the things on my list that I'm discussing with the federal government and our colleagues, because I think part of the challenge in early childhood is you've literally got 3 levels of government with different regulatory responsibilities in that area and different funding responsibilities, and I think that's the problem, to be honest. Yeah, but thank you for the question.
Great, thank you. Another question we actually have over here. I see there's a Mike
Yes, thank you, Premier. Mike Yeo from Awards and More. Thank you, Premier. I love the vision. It's just great. I'm looking forward to it. But as John Denver said, I'm just a country boy. I do come from the country, and I'm thinking of what the next big vision might be. We are getting chockers. In fact, we have a lot of traffic. We're building more going upstairs. We'll have more cars. We will get full eventually, and I don't think it'll be a long way away. The Snowy Mountains managed to get, with their old technology, a lot of tunnels before they had this good gear that we've got now. When can we go through the mountains and open up all the regional cities accessible by fast train, fast cars, but more train? I did hear a report that you weren't happy with a fast train coming from Canberra and all. I can understand that from Canberra, but can we get the west opened up, please? Could we get the west opened up for a whole lot of new cities? We've got some great ones out there now, Orange, Cowra. It's not a city yet, but can we do that? Can we get out there?
No, it's a great question. I know regional New South Wales is doing very well out of our infrastructure spend. In fact, we said before the election that we would generate $20 billion from our asset recycling, and a third of that will go into rural and regional, which it is. So that's $6 billion on top of our current spend. So we're spending $73 billion on infrastructure in the next 4 years, and 30% of that's going in rural and regional. So we are upgrading roads, getting new XPT fleet. We're doing a lot in regional and rural. That is a really challenging suggestion, but I can't tell you how many people raise it. It really does capture the imagination of people who live west of the mountains. And it's challenging from a number of perspectives, but the vision is there. So we are considering all of our options as to how we open up regional New South Wales. And I have friends who moved from downtown Northbridge to Orange, for example. So people are making those proactive lifestyle choices. And we need to address that. And if you look at other countries around the world, like the United States and others, they had a vision about building up a lot of their regional towns and met that vision. And I think we can do more there, and we're looking forward to those opportunities. But that suggestion you've made isn't the first time. You won't be surprised to know that's come before us. But we are looking at how we can open up our regions and support. Because ironically, for every suburban person who's worried about overdevelopment in their suburb, there's another country town that's saying, please move to my town. And we need to facilitate that where we can. Thank you.
Great question, Mike. Thank you. We've got one more question, I believe. Hardeep.
Hardeep Gurn from Know My Group. My head's spinning with all these serious questions, so I just wanted to know, you met Vice President Mike Pence this week.
Yep.
What did you talk about?
Oh, good question. Great question. Is there any media in the room? Can I be honest?
No.
No,
What
honestly.
happens in the room stays in the room.
Okay, no one record this. I don't want to cause any diplomatic issues. Can I say the Vice President and his family were absolutely delightful. They were absolutely overawed with the beauty of Sydney, and they didn't expect it. They actually said to me, we didn't expect this city to be so beautiful and have so much to offer. So from a personal relationship building exercise, they were extremely positive. He was really interested in some of our asset recycling and budget management issues and how we'd overcome some of our challenge. Genuinely interested. Genuinely interested also in, we're on the harbour, and we were talking about ferries, and he said how much he loved the ferries, and I said yes, one of the first things I did is allow the private sector to run them when I came to government. So he was quite happy to hear that, because it was increasing private sector involvement, but with strong regulatory frameworks. So they're kind of some of the things we discussed. But from a personal perspective, he was extremely impressed by Sydney, and also impressed in the way in which our government was managing things. I mean, that's a biased comment. You'd expect to hear that from me. But it was a very, very positive experience, and I was absolutely honoured to represent the people of New South Wales for part of his trip. Yeah.
Premier, thank you very much indeed for attending today. That was incredible. Come on, we'll just take a quick photograph with the Premier and our panellists.